Welcome to this fundamental video on the bracing sequence. It's safe to assume if you're going to the gym, you're there to achieve a goal. And you know that intensity is what creates change. So the bracing sequence is a foundational skill that allows you to train with the intensity needed to create that change. So let's take a moment, bring ourselves to the floor, create some awareness, and then I'm going to teach you what bracing your core means and how you can apply it to get more out of your lifts at the gym. So we start off with building awareness of our positions so that you can move with intention. You can move on purpose. And the spine is our first area of interest because we want to hold a stable position. So no matter how much intensity we apply through the back, we can hold a position that feels strong and allows us to challenge the legs or the upper body. So start off in what's called this tabletop position. Your hands are under the shoulders, your knees are under the hips. What you're going to imagine is if you had a tail, we're going to extend and untuck the tail. So it's like a cat stretching their back. And then I want you to go the opposite way. Think like a scared dog and how they tuck their tail under their body. Tuck that tail as far under as you can. And I want you to go back and forth, untuck, and then tuck as far as you can. And you'll notice what happens with my back is I'm arching my back here. And then when I tuck, I'm rounding my back. Do one more each way. Find the furthest that you can go, untuck. And then the furthest you can go, tuck. Now what I want you to do is make those movements between the untuck and the tuck a little bit smaller every time. And you're going to stop at a position that feels like it's somewhere in the middle. And that's what we call your neutral spine. Now, I don't want you to feel like there's a right or a wrong here because there is nuance. And the goal of this is just to create awareness of where your back is and how you can move it or choose to not move it. So we have context of how that feels. Let's take it back to our feet to apply that to a movement like a squat. So we can go through that same tuck and untuck movement in standing. And I find the best way to feel this and see it is to take one thumb, put it on the bottom of your breastbone, take the other thumb and put it right around where the waistband on your pants is. And go through both that untuck and notice how your hands travel further away from each other. And then go to the tuck and notice how your hands travel closer to each other. Go through the same process we did on the ground as far as you can each way, making each rep a little bit smaller and smaller and smaller until you find what feels like your middle ground. So this is our neutral spine. And again, there's no specific degree where you're correct and then a millimeter off is incorrect. We just want to have awareness to find somewhere in the middle. And then what we do is create tension using our ab muscles to hold that position as we challenge it through something like a back squat. So find your middle ground, and then I'm going to teach you how to brace the muscles in your abs. Easiest way to think of it, most common way people say to describe or say to cue it is brace like you're bracing for a punch. So if someone were going to whack your belly, how would you tighten? Another way to think of it is, you know, when you step into like a cold lake, it's ice cold water, or turn on the water in the shower and it's ice cold. How do you tense up your body? Essentially, it's that same feeling. Create some tension here and hold it. And you should feel that under your fingers, that everywhere you poke is tight. Now, I want to highlight a key factor here, and it's that you are not creating tension and pushing out as if you are going to the bathroom. You want to hold your pelvic floor or hold some tension in your pelvic floor, just like you really have to fart and you're trying not to. Just like any muscle, there's a degree of max effort with that, like you're holding in a fart, you really have to, or you're just creating tension in that muscle, right? We don't need max tension. In fact, that can be counterproductive. We just need some tension. So create that tension in the core like you're bracing for that punch. Create that tension in your pelvic floor like you're holding in a fart. Connect with that muscle. It's like a 50% effort, right? So we found our neutral spine. We're creating tension in the core. And now the goal would be create your two hands, one on the sternum, one on the waistband. Can we move through that like we're deadlifting without the hands traveling further away from each other? Now, I'll tell you, the number one skill that people lack, that I find people lack that have low back issues, is the ability to move through their hips without moving through their spine. So let me show you 2 reps. First one is keeping stability at my spine and moving through my hips. Notice how my hands are not moving away from each other or moving closer to each other as I move at my hips. Now this next one is moving at my back. See how my hands travel away from each other and then they travel toward each other at the top. This is what we want to avoid. So practicing this skill, the ability to move at the hips without moving at the spine, is step 1 at creating the foundation necessary to lift with intensity. Practice this in your warm-ups. Practice this when you're watching TV and it's a commercial break. You can't go wrong with more repetitions. It's only going to help you apply this better in your workouts. Let me know what questions you have, and if there's topics that you want me to cover more in detail, leave a comment, let me know. I look forward to making more of these fundamental videos in the future.